Welcome back to The Hill Report, where we cut through the noise, break down the biggest moments from Washington, and explain what they actually mean for everyday Americans. If you're completely fed up with the mainstream media spin and you want the raw facts, the real context, and the actual policy implications behind these viral headlines, you are in the right place. Let's dive right into today's hearing.
The benefits of these workers will unquestionably be lower.
Well, actually, it was the Democrats that voted every time to shut them down. Republicans voted every time to open them up.
Pass,
So
just give me
we
the
didn't
answer
shut them
to my
down. You
question.
shut them down.
Answer my question.
I did.
What are you doing? Why are you moving?
Ma'am, I answered your question. You were the one that shut them down. The Democrats shut down. How many times did you vote to shut them down?
Why? You know, these people come to us to get funding for the work that they do, and we ought
I'm
to take
actually
a look at
factually
the work that
correct.
they don't
I'm
do.
factually correct.
The work.
What you are about to watch is a textbook example of how the Washington establishment tries to control the narrative and how a fast-thinking conservative can shatter that illusion with a healthy dose of reality. We are looking at a heated exchange during a House committee funding hearing between veteran Democratic Representative Rosa DeLauro and Republican Mark Wayne Mullin. Now, this hearing matters immensely because it centers on government accountability and fiscal responsibility. DeLauro goes on a massive, uninterrupted tirade accusing the GOP of trying to defund cybersecurity, privatize the TSA, and actively harm federal workers through a government shutdown. From a conservative perspective, this is the classic progressive playbook. Use federal employees as political shields to justify endless, unchecked government spending and resist any form of common-sense modernization or structural reform. DeLauro thought she had the upper hand, framing her question to make the department's position look entirely indefensible. But she made one critical mistake. She assumed the Republican on the other side would just sit there and take the blame. Instead, Mullin launched a devastating counteroffensive that completely derails her line of questioning and exposes the rank hypocrisy of the political left when it comes to who actually holds the purse strings during a shutdown. If you appreciate straightforward, no-nonsense political analysis like this, make sure you're subscribed to The Hill Report, hit that notification bell, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Take a look at how this unfolded.
I'll make a statement to you again, but this is fact from the bill, Mr. Chairman. The bill that the Republicans have proposed for funding the Department of Homeland Security cuts cybersecurity budget by more than $250 million. It cuts the TSA by nearly $350 million. And the Trump administration is openly advocating for privatizing TSA while trying to eliminate their collective bargaining rights. We all know what happened earlier this year. TSA workers endured the longest government shutdown in history. There was a lot of discussion and talk invoked about the long lines and the use of leverage to force through a Homeland Security bill without any reforms to what were critical ICE and CBP reforms that were necessary, that the American people wanted and were clamoring for. They didn't want to continue to see masked marauders on their streets with just harassing people. Congress eventually passed my legislation that paid TSA workers, funded FEMA, CISA, Secret Service, and the Coast Guard. And today, and it took you 79 days on the Republican side to make that decision to pay these people instead of just talking about paying this. The administration continues to attempt to walk away from the collective bargaining agreement with TSA workers, something that the federal courts have now twice said is illegal. Indeed, your testimony frames the attempt to force over 200 smaller airports in this country into a new security structure as a setting. And quote, the TSA, this is in the testimony, the TSA is on the path to privatization. My question on this issue is, given all that the transportation security offers did for us during a Republican shutdown, how can it be that the department's position is that TSA workers should not be granted the same basic labor protections as federal enforcement officers? How can it be that your priority is to have them work for the lowest bidder, where the wages and the benefits of these workers will unquestionably be lower?
Well, actually, it was the Democrats that voted every time to shut them down. Republicans voted every time to open them up.
Pass,
So
just give me
we
the
didn't
answer
shut them
to my
down. You
question.
shut them down.
Answer my question. What are you doing? Why are you moving?
Ma'am, I answered your question. You were the one that shut them down. The Democrats shut down. How many times did you vote to shut them down?
Why? You know, these people come to us to get funding for the work that they do, and we ought
I'm
to take
actually
a look at
factually
the work
correct.
that they
I'm
don't do.
factually correct.
The work
You
that they
voted
don't
to
do.
shut them down. Republicans voted to open them over and over and
Well,
over
what
again.
the
Your vote
Republicans
clearly
finally
stated
did,
that you voted to shut us
what they
down.
finally
It
did-
wasn't until it became
Madam
popular,
Ranking
and then, by the
Member,
way, ICE agents came there and helped bring the
Mr.
lines down. The
Secretary.
same people that you also kept shut down for
Mr.
115
Secretary.
days. I'm answering the question.
No, you
I thought
didn't,
you said
Mr.
you answered it.
Secretary.
The floor is hers.
My dear,
Actually, I gave it to her. You know, there is a chairman of a committee. That's me.
Oh.
I gave it back to her.
this tells
She's
you
got it.
something about who these folks are. And
have
everybody
another
on
question,
this
Madam
panel.
Ranking
Well,
Member?
yeah, no, I do, but I didn't get an answer to a question.
So the
How
record
can
will
it
so
be?
reflect.
Thank
Please
you.
ask your next
Okay,
question.
and I will. This
Here's what stood out to me immediately. Representative DeLauro spent the first 2 minutes of her time building a highly partisan, deeply emotional narrative. She brought up masked marauders on the streets, accused the Trump administration of trying to sell out TSA workers to the lowest bidder, and tried to paint Republicans as completely heartless actors who made federal workers endure a historic shutdown. But let's talk about why this matters and where the debate gets interesting. Mullin didn't take the bait. The moment she finally stopped talking to ask her loaded question, asking how Republicans could possibly justify their positions, Mullin cut straight to the core mathematical and legislative reality. He didn't offer a long-winded defensive explanation about TSA collective bargaining. He went straight for the jugular, stating, well, actually, it was the Democrats that voted every time to shut them down. Republicans voted every time to open them up. This is where the political implications become incredibly clear. For years, the mainstream media narrative has been that any time the government shuts down, it is automatically the fault of fiscal conservatives who want to rein in spending. But Mullin pointed out a massive factual truth that the left desperately wants voters to forget. During appropriations battles, Republicans repeatedly put clean, targeted funding bills on the floor to keep essential agencies open, fund our troops, and pay federal enforcement officers. And time again, Democrats voted against those targeted measures, choosing instead to keep the entire government shuttered as leverage to force massive, unrelated spending packages through Congress. Many voters will likely see this differently depending on their political lens, but looking strictly at the evidence, DeLauro's reaction tells you everything you need to know. The moment Mullin threw that factual counterpunch, she completely lost her composure. She didn't counter his point with legislative data. Instead, she started shouting over him, demanding that he answer her question, and frantically looking around the room for the chairman to protect her time. From a policy standpoint, the critique here is simple. The left operates on the assumption that federal agencies should permanently expand, shielded from any oversight, privatization, or efficiency reforms. When conservatives suggest that perhaps the TSA could operate more efficiently under a different secure structure, or that we need to look at the massive cybersecurity budgets critically, the immediate response from Democrats is fear-mongering. Mullin stood his ground beautifully by shifting the blame back onto the lawmakers who actually used federal workers as leverage. He even pointed out that while Democrats kept the lines jammed up, it was ICE agents, the very people the progressive wing of the Democratic Party spent years trying to abolish, who came in and helped bring the security lines down at our airports. It was a masterclass in aggressive, evidence-based conservative pushback against an establishment narrative that was built entirely on a foundation of sand. This has been The Hill Report. If you found this analysis valuable, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the biggest moments from Washington. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next report.